Let's talk for a few minutes about ways to use MindMup from the teacher's perspective. Again, it's important to remember that this is an integrated Google tool. So it's living in the Google Drive of your students or in your Google Drive. So let's talk about how you might get it to them. First thing, remember that you want to be sure you title the MindMup. I'm going to use my holidays theme again. And I'm to ask my students to write about the holidays. Now, depending on how much of a template you want to give them, if you just want to start them out and say, we're going to write about holidays, build your mind up around holidays that you know about. You could do that. You could also specify which holidays you want them to write about, or I'm sure you can apply this to things that you are studying, things that they are reading. You can provide as much of a template as you want. You can also provide scaffolding for students who need more direction before they begin to write. So this is adaptable to the needs of your students. So I've created this MindMup. It is living in my Google Drive. I'm going to open Google Classroom, which is one of the most common ways that we get works to our kiddos, and I'm going to make an assignment or an announcement depending on whether you want a due date assigned to it. So let's just say I'm going to make an assignment. So the plus button, new assignment, and I'm going to title this Holidays in My House. Going to be the title of the assignment. You can put a due date on it here. You can give it a topic if you want to. Remember that your MindMup is living in your Google Drive, so we're going to click the Drive icon. And then this one happens to be at the top of the list because I've sorted them by the time they were created. If yours is not at the top of the list, use the search box, search for it. But there it sits in my Google Drive. So I'm going to select it, add it, and you'll notice that it just becomes like any other Google tool in your Google Drive. Keep in mind that right here where it says students can view file, only this first time when we are creating this assignment for the first time, we have the option to make a copy for each student. So that'll be important. If you want every student to work on their own MindMup, you will click Make a Copy for each student. And when your students come to this assignment in Google Classroom and they click here, it will open this MindMup in their Google Drive just like any other Google tool. If you don't click the Make a Copy for each student, decide whether you just want your students to view it. That's not going to be very productive if you want them to use it and add ideas and details to it. If you want everyone or several students to work on the same MindMup, you'll use this. Students can edit the file and assign it to, say, 3 or 4 students to work together. Again, the feature of MindMup that's most attractive is it's a Google application and it is collaborative. So more than one student can work on a MindMup at the same time. So I'm going to give access for the students to be able to edit this file. I've got everything set up. At this point, this is one of those differentiation tools. When we talked about scaffolding for some students that need more direction, if you want every kiddo in your class to work on this same MindMup, you don't need to do anything because all students is the default here. But let's say that this MindMup that I'm assigning right here has more scaffolding and more structure provided than for other students, and I only want Manel and Angela to have this one. So I'm going to uncheck everybody else. I'm going to assign this for Manel and for Angela, and they are the only ones who will see this in their Google Classroom assignment because I'm only making this assignment for these 2 individual students who need more help making their plan. So this is one of those tools that when you're talking about working on writing and giving students individual time to work on their planning process and their thought process. It's a valuable tool for differentiation. It's a valuable tool for providing some scaffolding, and it can work nicely. So we've got these two students identified. We're going to give them access to edit the file, which means they will both be working on the same file, or we can give each of these students their own copy of this MindMup. Regardless of how that works, it's going to open in their Google Drive when they get ready to use it. So we will make this assignment. Remember here, just as a side note, you can schedule this to go out at a certain time. You can save it as a draft and come back in and post it yourself when you're ready for your students to use it. So don't forget about those options in Google Classroom as well. But I'm ready to post the assignment. The assignment is posted, and when my students go to Google Classroom, they're going to see Holidays in My House, and they are going to click on the icon, and the MindMup will open, and we will have instructions there for them. And remember that you can change this part. If you're having them work on this one together, you can make some changes here, and the link in Google Classroom stays the same. So there are some other options to investigate with MindMup. There are some options for viewing. You can view this map theme. You can change some of the things about the way it looks. You can choose a storyboard. There's the storyboard. So if you're working on sequencing and you want your students to brainstorm ideas and then drag things over in order in which they happen in the story, you can do that. And it just creates a nice little storyboard, just a different view. And you have some options here about the collapsing, seeing things in this sidebar as well. So it's really worth investigating all the features that MindMup has to offer us, especially since it is Google friendly.